Hey guys, this is Jennifer, and this is the Jennifer Allwood Show, the podcast where you learn how to create a beautiful home and build a creative business. Grab a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot in the house, and let's chat. I'm excited you're here. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm super excited to be here with you again this week and chatting with you about all things business and life related, and super excited to just dive in today. And I'm excited to talk to you about something that probably doesn't sound like a real sexy podcast title, but listen, my friends, self-sabotage is something every single one of us do, if we will be honest enough to admit it. And when you are an entrepreneur, and to get into self-sabotage, it's just deadly for a business. It's going to keep you so small. And the reason that I even thought about doing this podcast was because I was traveling last week. And so I don't travel a ton for work. I haven't been gone since the spring before the kids were out of the school. And I like it that way because I like being home. But I was in Milwaukee for work last week, and I had put myself into like a 2-day workshop where I learned how to be a better speaker, and did a meetup one night in my hotel, which for those of you who have followed me for any length of time, you know I'm totally an introvert. And so that was very, very much outside of my comfort zone. But I threw up that morning on social media that I was going to be in Milwaukee and, come to the hotel if you wanted to sit and chill and we could have a beverage and discuss anything that anybody felt like. And so a group of women showed up, which just floored me. And we had just the best night, you guys. Like I had told them we'd go from 6 o'clock to 7 or whenever I fell asleep. And I think I got back to my room at like 9:45. So we were there a minute, and it was fascinating and fabulous. And a handful of the women there are in my inner circle coaching group, and a handful of the women were complete strangers to me. They just follow me on social media, and I was so honored to meet both. So there was one woman in the group who paints furniture. And she's precious, and her business is doing well. But one of the things that she said to our group just caught my attention so much. And I thought, you know what? I'm so proud of her, first of all, that she is willing to be vulnerable in this conversation, and she's willing to be super honest. And I think this is something that a lot of women especially can relate to. So let's talk about it on the podcast. So basically, she was telling me that her painting business does really great. I coach a ton of furniture painters. And so most of you know that's where my background is, in decorative painting and furniture painting. So that's the industry I was coming out of. And so she said something, though, that caught my eye. And it was like bells went off in my head when she said it. She was telling us about how her business is doing great, but that she's afraid to grow too fast. That was the quote. She said, "I'm just afraid to grow too fast." And so she is intentionally putting on the brakes. And so we got into this whole conversation about like, why was she afraid to grow too fast? And what she was saying was, well, I'm afraid people are going to order like 12 pieces of furniture from me all at once, and then I can't keep up. And I'm like, well, honey, if you get people ordering 12 pieces of furniture from you all at once, like you hire help. You bring somebody in to, here's where my voice is about to go up, creatives. You bring somebody in to prep all of those 12 pieces of furniture for you. When your business is doing well, not because you're above prepping, but honey, you don't prep anymore. You are not the one with the screwdriver taking off those 50-year-old handles that need fixed, boiled overnight or replaced. You are not the one who is cleaning out that piece of furniture with a vacuum. You are not the one who physically does the sanding and the prepping and the priming. Because guess what? When your business begins to grow and you have like all this opportunity, but you're the one doing every single thing, you are intentionally, whether you know it or not, keeping your business small. You're on purpose keeping it that way. And that, my friends, is self-sabotage. So we had a great chat with that precious woman in Milwaukee. I love that she shared her heart with us. I want to share my heart with you today about self-sabotage and help some of you who are doing things in your business that you might not recognize are keeping it small, but I'm going to give you some great examples of those things. So stay tuned. First, though, I want to chat with you real quick about my podcast being sponsored this week by my very own Creators Inner Circle. Listen, my Inner Circle is the group that I've had for a little over 3 years. I've had over 15,000 entrepreneurs in the last 3 years go through my Inner Circle and work at building their social media so that they can sell more. Because here is the truth. Somebody please tweet this, okay? You can absolutely have the best product, the best service, the best talent at painting, making, creating, writing, whatever. You can have the cutest hair bows, the best cupcakes, whatever. But if you do not know how to get what you do or make in front of people online and build an audience, it doesn't matter. If nobody can find you, how does it matter that you're the one with the most talent? Like, gone are the days where we wait for, kind of to be discovered. And in are the days where we have to put ourselves out in the places, in the marketplace where people can stumble upon us, begin to follow us, and then we turn them into customers. And this is what I teach every month, all month long in my inner circle. We have literally been closed for people to sign up since January of this year, my friends, but we reopen on September the 24th. You can go to jenniferallwood.com/inner circle just to get on the wait list so that you get an email when we are reopened on September 24th. I want to see you in there. So back to the podcast. So if we'll be honest, I think most of us will admit that we do things all the time to self-sabotage. When I was thinking about my own life, I was thinking about my struggle to give up sugar. And I was thinking how sometimes I sabotage myself by, the family wants to go get ice cream. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go with you to go get ice cream. And then I'm putting myself in a situation where I know darn good and well, I have shown myself time and time again, to not do the things that line up with my goals. If I end up going to the ice cream parlor with you, I will more than likely get the chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream in a sugar cone because #raw cookie dough. I mean, it's self-sabotaging behavior. And when I think about what that looks like in business, there have been different times at different stages in my business when I've done a lot of sabotaging type of things without even really realizing what it is. So I want to kind of talk about some of those things because for some of you, I don't want you to glaze over right here and be like, Jen, that's not me. I don't self-sabotage. Because I have a long list of things that if you'll be really honest with yourself, I want to see if you can relate to some of these, and then we're going to talk about how to get over them, okay? Because it's one thing for me just to point out what you may be doing, but I think it's a whole other thing to tell you, how do you get past the sabotage? How do you get on the other side of it? Okay, so real quick, we're going to talk about ways you may be sabotaging yourself, and these are mostly things that business owners can be doing, all right? Here we go, in no particular order. Number one, do you procrastinate? All right. If you're somebody who procrastinates or put things off, you are self-sabotaging. Listen, I put on social media last week, and I had several of you that made like these precious memes, and you were putting them on your Instagram stories, and I've never been so prouder. But here's what I said last week on my podcast. Girlfriend, you already know enough to be dangerous. Some of you are procrastinating in your business by continuing to think you need to keep learning before you're doing. And that is a form of self-sabotage. You're putting things off when you already know enough. Or a lot of my creative friends should be able to relate to this probably because you're a typical creative. You work very last minute. You love a deadline. Like you'll say you hate the deadline, but you totally get off on the deadline. Like when people say you've got a month to complete a project in work, you'll go tell 48 hours beforehand. Why? Because you work really best. Also, you do self-sabotage to some degree because non-self-sabotaging behavior, good healthy behavior would be you doing work from the second you're given that project leading up to the very best of the work in the last 48 hours. But procrastinating and putting things off is definitely a form of self-sabotage. Also, you may not be pricing whatever it is that you make or sell or offer high enough. This is the way we shoot ourselves in the foot. This is the way we keep ourselves small. People can probably be telling you left and right, honey, you need to raise your prices. You need to price higher. You need to, X, Y, Z. And so often, especially creative people will hear that. They'll know in their knower that it's truth, and yet they will on purpose keep their pricing low. And you've got to remember that when you're doing that, there's this weird thing that happens in people's minds. It's like when stuff is priced too low, they instinctively begin to wonder, well, what's wrong with it? Why isn't it priced any higher? Why is she so much lower than some of the other people in her industry? Is she taking shortcuts? Is it crap material that's going to break? Is it, not worth very much? And therefore, I would rather pay more to get something of good quality. That's what happens when we don't price things high enough. Another way we self-sabotage is you may start selling a lot of what you've got, right? You may start having great success, and then all of a sudden, you do the little freak out, that so many of us do, and you stop posting on social media. You're like, holy crap, I see the ball's rolling here. It's gaining some momentum. And then all of a sudden, for reasons you do not even know, you find yourself no longer posting anything for sale. I want to give you an example that's kind of related to this. You may start seeing some great results on social media. Perhaps you're somebody that's already in my inner circle and you are seeing your following jump by leaps and bounds on social media. Well, often what I will see happen to people is they'll start seeing their numbers grow on social media. They'll start seeing their numbers grow, and then they will do a little freak out session internally and they will stop posting. Or they have ads going and they will turn off their ads. This happened to a dear friend of mine several years ago. We were in a coaching group together, and I can remember her page getting to 20,000 fans or something. And then all of a sudden she was like, whoa, Nelly. Whoa, Nelly. Like, I was okay with like 19,999 followers, but at 20,000, she turned off her ads. And isn't it funny how we can see ourselves so often in that story, that things will begin to do well and we will intentionally slow it down. Another way you may be self-sabotaging. Do you continue to hang out with small-minded people? Look, my friends, I talked about in episode 81 of the podcast. If you have not listened to that, by the way, please go back and listen to episode 81. It was so good. I talk about how you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you're someone who's coming to me saying, Jennifer, I really, really want my business to grow. Nobody in my family is supportive. Even my people in my own house, are thinking this is going to be an absolute disaster. Like, what do I do? Well, clearly you can't quit hanging out with the people in your same house, but you have tons of opportunities to to quit hanging out with the people outside of your immediate family in your household. You are the average of the people you spend the most time with. So if you continue to hang out on purpose with people who are not behind your dreams, with people who cannot relate at all to what you're trying to do, if you continue to hang out with people who, well, girlfriend, I just don't want to see you get hurt. I mean, I just want you to, if this business thing does not do well, like, I'm just really afraid of like what's going to happen for you. If those are the people you are hanging out with, sweet pea. Switch the people you are hanging out with. Life is too short. Business is too hard and scary. Being an entrepreneur is too difficult on its own to be listening to garbage from people in your world. You don't need that. And if you continue to hang out with the naysayers, the negative Nellies, the Debbie Downers, you are literally self-sabotaging. You are on purpose putting yourself in situations where people are not going to speak life and encouragement into your business, and instead will speak the exact opposite. Another way you may be self-sabotaging. Do you refuse to do and invest in things that will show you growth? I want to talk about an Instagram DM that I got the other day. I get hundreds of Instagram DMs, by the way. To those of you who have ever private messaged me, let me just take 30 seconds here and just say thank you. You know that my first love is Facebook with 340-some thousand followers on Facebook. You will find me there every single day. But I have literally fallen in love with Instagram. And I'm going to tell you one of the main reasons is because I hear from you guys in my DMs, and it's so fabulous. So the other day, I had a lady message me on Instagram, and we will, leave her nameless. And she was asking about my inner circle, which I just told you in the beginning of this podcast does reopen on September 24th. And she asked if I thought my inner circle would be a good fit for her. She doesn't have a creative business. And this is what I said. I said, well, I talk to a lot of creatives in my business, yes, about mindset and habits of creative people. But what I'm teaching is applicable across any industry. Every single industry out there needs to grow their social media. Am I right? And so I was telling her just through DMs, honey, if you need to grow your Facebook, your Pinterest, your Instagram, or your email list, yes, get in my inner circle. That is the place for you. And so her message back to me was precious. And if you, by the way, are hearing this, the girl who messaged me, I want you to know I love you and I'm rooting for you. But here's what she said. She said, okay, well, I really hope that I'll be able to join. And so I was like, well, what do you mean you really hope you'll be able to join? Well, I hope I make myself do it. And I'm like, hope you make yourself do it? Like, hope is a terrible plan. Hope is a crappy strategy. What do you mean you hope? And she's like, well, how much is it? And I said, well, honey, it's $47 a month. And then this is what I said. And I want some of you to really listen to this. and really grasp what I'm saying. So often we get hung up on things like a $47 decision, but yet we want God to give us the opportunity to have so much business that we can make a $4,700 decision. Or we want a huge 7-figure business that will require us to make $47,000 decisions. We want this huge business and this incredible income, but yet we trip over $47 decisions. And that's what I told her. I'm like, girl, if you are hung up in trying to decide over $47 a month, it will be very difficult for you to ever make the bigger decisions in your business. And so if we refuse to make those little decisions, and by the way, it wasn't a matter of the money for her. It wasn't like she was living so tight that the $47 was going to, be a huge stretch for her every month. That was not it. It was not a financial thing. It was more that she was self-sabotaging because she told me that's what she needed, was business growth. She needed more followers. But yet when I talked to her about the group, knowing full good and well it would help her, she began to say things like, I sure hope I see you in there. That is self-sabotaging. You refuse to make decisions, and you make decisions on purpose that will keep you small. Another example of self-sabotaging that I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to is that you have no plan on any given day. Listen, this used to be me, my friends. Honestly, I'm not joking. I used to do business very reactively. So that means as things come up, I would take care of them. So we call it putting out fires. So, a client's texting me that they've decided to change, something they're going to do in their house. Or I get an email come in that somebody needs to reschedule something. So I would just spend my day reacting and responding to the thing that came my way. What I lacked doing was having any real strategy for any given day. What I lacked doing was looking out at my calendar a year ahead from now and think of where I want to be in a year, and then back scheduling my time so that I made sure I met my goals. I had no plan for any given day. Also, another thing that's self-sabotaging that I used to be totally guilty of, and I want you to hear my heart, and let me just tell you, I've been there. I've done this. I was just like you. I would do things during my workday that would make me feel productive, but that honestly were a total waste of time. Let me give you a good example. Stuff that I should have been delegating, like editing my own photos to put on Instagram. I'll take the photo, absolutely, but should I be the one that's trying to balance the light and the brilliance and the color and all the other things that I can't even pronounce and I don't even really know what they are and I'm really not that good at it? No. I can remember getting into this rabbit hole one time of just arranging photos on my desktop. And I'm like, what am I doing? I have just spent the last couple of hours doing something that made me feel like I was working, made me feel really productive, but that in no way, shape, or form was going to build my business at all. Can any of the rest of you guys relate to that? I was doing busy work over money work. I want you guys to listen to the last episode, which was episode 83, on the number one thing you can do to grow your sales. And listen, friends, so many business owners, they don't want to sell. It feels slimy, right? Like if I was to poll the, thousands and thousands of you that listen to every one of my podcast episodes, the majority of you will say if you have a business, you hate sales. Friends, I hate sales too. But you know what I hate more? I hate my family starving to death. I'm going to hate that more. And so at some point, we as entrepreneurs need to wrap our head around the fact that in order for your business to stay a business, you have to make money. You have to make sales. Otherwise, you have got one heck of an expensive hobby going on. You don't have a business. And so continuing to pick things that are busy work over the things that are money work, over the things that will actually put dollars in your bank account is a form of self-sabotage. Go back and listen to episode 83. It has been I think it's actually number one right now in terms of all of my podcast episodes for downloads. So go listen to that, okay? I've got a couple more things here. If you're somebody who overfills your calendar and leaves yourself absolutely no margin during the day, you are self-sabotaging. I have struggled with this in my career at different times where I would literally book a podcast interview, and then right behind that is a call with my mastermind, and then immediately following that I need to do a new training for my inner circle, and then right after that I need to write a blog post, and I would have my calendar so booked up with zero margin. that if the first podcast interview that I was on went an extra 15 minutes, then I'm screwed. Like, then I'm like, crap. And before I know it, it's the end of the day and I'm having to not get to a couple of things because I've overbooked myself. I've overcommitted. I've left no margin. And that is a form of self-sabotage. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about here is the absolute, in my opinion, most important of all the things I made a list of. And this is your words. Your words are key to your business. The things that come out of your mouth are the things that either most sabotage yourself and your business or the thing that most brings power to it. Okay, let me give you an example. If you are someone who says things like, nothing ever works for me, or I always give up on my business, or I can never get caught up, or there just aren't enough hours in the day, or things never work out for me. Those are all ways that you are shooting yourself in the foot with your business, my friend. Listen, from a biblical perspective, the Bible says that life and death are in the power of the tongue. I read this book. It's probably been a good decade ago, because the Lord was convicting me so much about my words. And, I had tried to give up cussing and, I've done a good job of that. And I tried to make sure my words were encouraging, but I would still find myself saying things and speaking things over both myself and others that weren't life-giving. And so I read this book called The Power of the Tongue, and it was a little tiny book, you guys. If you need me to find you a link, I can sure try, but I'm telling you, it was like a 40-page little almost pamphlet thing that you could carry around in your back pocket. And that book changed everything for me when I realized the power of the words that I say. Silly things like, instead of saying to my kids when they leave, be careful, or my husband when he used to go to work, most of you know, he's now working with me, and that is a great podcast episode, by the way. But I would say things like, be careful. Well, I don't say be careful anymore. I don't want them to be careful. What do I want? I want them to be safe. So I've switched my wording from be careful, babe, love you, to be safe. I'm speaking that over them. I'm speaking safety over them. I'm speaking, binding safety to them instead of careful. I don't care if they're careful. I care if they're safe. Okay, things like, there's things that my mom will sometimes say, just being, a sweet, loving grandmother. Things like, have Ava put on a coat. She's going to get sick. No. Ava's not going to get sick. Like, I'm almost a weirdo anymore with things like that. Or somebody will say, girl, you are a trip. You are never going to be able to do this. Or so I will literally stop and in my head say, don't speak that over me. Not in the name of Jesus. I mean, I'm not trying to get all churchy on you, but there is power in both your words and other people's words. And so if you are speaking death over your business, honey, you cannot be surprised that you're not getting the sales you want. So I want you to really be mindful. This is my to-do list for you. Okay. I was going to have you go opt into some cute thing on my website and who cares about getting another email address? My homework for you this week is for you to watch your words and pay attention to what is coming out of your mouth. Is it sabotaging yourself, or is it words that will take your business to where they want to go? There have been so many times in my life, you guys, when I have had to literally post words on a 4x6 index card and tape them up behind my mirror. Because why? Well, I brush my teeth every single day and I'll sit and stare at them every day when I brush my teeth. And there's things, the girls that used to paint for me, they know that whenever we would get into a tight spot with a client, I would be struggling to make the right paint color or glaze color, or, things would be pulling away from the wall and not sticking like it's supposed to, or something like that. I would literally say out loud, I am smart, I am pretty, and people like me, dang it. I am smart, I am pretty, and people like me, dang it. Whether I felt like that or not, I am smart enough to figure this situation out. I say weirdo things like that all the time. You know what? Because we believe ourselves. We believe the very things we speak about our life and our business. So my homework for you this week is I just want to plant the seed in your mind so that you will be so much more tuned in to the things coming out of your own mouth and determining, okay, am I sabotaging? Oh my gosh, I am sabotaging. I am remembering what Jennifer said, and I just said something that I had no idea was even a habit of myself to say, and I'm going to quit. If you will do that, that is so much more valuable to me. It's so much better to me than any sort of an opt-in that I could give you right now. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to show up in my Instagram DMs, and I want you to tell me, Jen, thank you for helping me bring attention to ways that I may be sabotaging and the things coming out of my mouth. And that's just going to make my day. So here's what I want to end with. Okay. Every day, you guys, I get messages from entrepreneurs who are just like you, who are struggling, who are stuck, or who have settled. And honestly, when we self-sabotage, we are settling. They are feeling stuck at a place in their business or life that they don't want to be. And so here's what I know to be true. Okay. Number one, the first step, honestly, is recognizing that you're even doing it. That's why I'm asking you to be really mindful of your words this week. You also need to know, number two, that you can't change everything at once, but you can change some of those things. Quit booking your calendar every day, every single minute. Have a plan for your day. If you've seen some success in sales and then you've absolutely stopped, honey, get back to posting. If your ads were doing great and you turned them off, you better turn them back on. Are you hanging out with people who are keeping you small? Change one at a time, but make the changes. Okay? Wherever the Lord convicts you of, make those changes. The things that are going to make the biggest difference, change those things first. And then I want you to know too, that if you find yourself just sabotaging to the point where you just can't seem to get over this hump, I really want to encourage you to try to get some help, to talk to somebody that's a professional, to reach out to somebody in your local church, somebody that you feel safe with, and get some help, because the self-sabotage is an important enough topic that I want you to take it very seriously. And if you've tried yourself in the past without success to fix yourself or get over some humps or get around some things, but you find yourself just going around that same mountain time and time again, honey, listen, get some help. I actually think I'm going to do a podcast on just getting professional help. I can tell you from personal experience what speaking to a professional therapist about my business has done for me. I've spoke to one for over 4 years now. And if that is something you want to hear about, I want you to let us know. I want you to go to podcast@jenniferallwood.com and drop us a line and let me know. Okay. And I'll make sure I put that on the list of things. All right. So listen, friends, we're to the end of the podcast, and I want you to know that I hope for some of you that I will see you in my inner circle on September the 24th. Again, you can go to jenniferallwood.com/inner circle and sign up there. I hope that I will see some of you adding more margin to your day. I hope I will see some of you switching who you're hanging out with so that you're not putting yourself in those self-sabotaging behaviors anymore. I am so rooting for you. And last, I just want to end with this incredible podcast review from a girl who follows my page. And her business is called Gina Slips. And Gina, I just want to personally thank you for this podcast review. She went into iTunes and she said, I was talking to my best friend this morning about trying to find a creative guru of some sort. I feel like all the gurus I listen to are really more traditional, business-oriented, and lo and behold, my iPhone podcast recommended Jennifer. I make custom slip covers for furniture. I've been looking for ways to increase my revenue without increasing my output. Yes, Gina. I'm so excited to listen from the beginning. So I just want to give a shout out to Gina Slips and to her business, just for A, recognizing what her business needs, and B, for just being a blessing to my business and going to iTunes and leaving me a review. So if you, my friend, have time to do that this week, if you would go to iTunes and leave a review also, screenshot it, send it to me through Instagram DMs, and I will absolutely send you a little thank you video back. It's that important to me, and we just appreciate your reviews so much. So there you have it, my friends. Another podcast this week. Thank you as always for being here. And until next week, I hope you'll stay creative. Bye-bye.
Hey friend, thank you so much for listening to the podcast again this week. I'm so honored that you're here and that you just listen week in and week out and that you share the Jennifer Allwood Show with your friends and family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, or if you're an Android user, go download the Stitcher app and you can subscribe there so that you know every single week when a new episode releases. Also, if you have any time to leave us a review, these reviews are super important in getting guests for the show and sponsors for the show. And so we'd appreciate it if you have just a second to leave us a review. That would be amazing. Thank you guys again for being here. And until next week, stay creative.